Pulse School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by BASF.
Brittany Warner here with RealAgriculture.com. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of our Pulse School. Today we're joined by Sherrilyn Phelps. She is the Director of Research and Development with Saskatchewan Pulse Growers. How's it going today, Sherrilyn?
It's going great, Brittany. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now we're out here at the Scotch Research Centre put on by WARC. You guys have a few trials in the mix, and today we are talking about new and novel pulses for rotation. Talk to me a little bit about why that's important and why you guys are testing different varieties.
Sure, sounds great. So for the rotation side, we know peas and lentils are the main pulses that are grown in Saskatchewan, but more recently we've come across a big issue, and that's the root rots, particularly aphanomyces. And the big solution that we have right now is the rotation and extending that rotation. But we know the benefits of pulses in rotation, and we need to figure out how to allow growers to still be growing pulses every 4 years, but maybe not necessarily peas or lentils every 4 years. So that's partly why we're looking at this project, looking at the different pulse options that we have in Saskatchewan, and then also kind of where they're suited. This project's being done at like 8 locations across Saskatchewan, so it'll give us a pretty good idea. We have some of the smaller acre pulses that are growing currently in Saskatchewan, so we're looking at their adaptability. And then we have some new and novel things that we're also looking at just to see their suitability as well.
Absolutely. Now, talking rotation time, longer rotations, are they a good idea, and why are they important?
Rotations. They are such a, they're something that are the mainstay of agronomy, right? We've dealt with rotations ever since the time began with agriculture. It's about the crop sequence. Rotations are very important for helping us to manage pests. So, like insects, diseases, weeds, that type of thing. And it also helps with diversity. The more diverse crop rotation you can have, the better for the soil. Hopefully, ultimately, the better for the grower in the end, as you can get higher yields if you have the right kind of rotations in mind. The big thing on the pest side is the disease side. You need those breaks in disease cycles. So growing crops that are non-hosts for specific diseases helps to break up that disease and make it more manageable.
Perfect. And we have quite a few different pulses behind you here at the trials. What is showing promise?
Well, we have a lot of our mainstay pulses. So peas and lentils obviously are ones that we know grow well across Saskatchewan, and you can see in some of these plots here that they look good. So those are the main ones. And then we also have some fava beans, some chickpeas, some dry beans also in here, and those are well adapted to certain areas within the province as well. We don't have soybeans in here, but that's another legume. It's more of an oilseed, but it is a legume, so nitrogen fixing crop that has some of the same benefits as a pulse crop in rotation, and we know that there's areas of the province where that one is adapted. Some of the new novel ones that we're looking at here in this particular project there's mung bean, there's cowpea, fenugreek, and lupin. So fenugreek is one of the crops that we have grown in Saskatchewan for a long time, but on very, very small acres. And hopefully as we get more processing capacity within the province, there is some opportunity to grow those acres of fenugreek, kind of more suited to the down south. With lupins, that's a crop that there's a company out of the east that is trying to get lupins grown in Western Canada, and lupins have been looked at for a number of years, and there's been a little bit of work done on them. They are more suited to the acid soils and do have a moisture requirement, so trying to make sure that they're maybe being grown in the right areas. But the biggest thing with lupins is also making sure there's a market. We don't want growers to grow a crop unless there's a place to sell it, so it's kind of trying to time both at the same bit of a chicken and an egg, but that's where that crop kind of is at the moment.
I was going to say, for some of these novel crops, I'm sure it's multifaceted of seeing how well we can grow them here in Saskatchewan or anywhere within Canada for that matter, but also, like you said, is there a market for it? I know there has been some research done on fenugreek for even more at the health side of application and that sort of thing. So I'm sure it's a little touch and go with the novel crops to see where they're going to go if we can grow them, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. And finally here for you, Sherrilyn, what challenges exist with bringing new or different pulses into rotation?
Well, Well, there's lots of challenges. The obvious ones are the management side, right? So, having herbicide options or weed control options, having management of diseases. Often when you bring in a new crop, the first few years it's like, oh, there's no diseases, there's no insects. But as you grow more and more acres of that same crop, pretty soon pests do arrive, they find it, and the pest control becomes an issue. One of the biggest things before bringing a crop in is even just variety development. Having varieties that are suitable to Saskatchewan conditions are important. We have a shorter growing season, we have extremes from cold to heat, we have extremes in terms of moisture, dry versus wetter areas. So really finding varieties that are adapted to either certain areas in the province or have adaptability across varying environments is key.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for joining us today, Sherrilyn.
Thank you.